Welcome to the Today's Leader podcast. Building tomorrow's best leaders, today.
Way to go, guys. Way to go. Keep it going. Good job, guys. All right, Paul, I see you. All right, finish. Let's go.
Great job, guys.
Hey there, it's Coach Curl here, and welcome to episode 395 of the Today's Leader podcast, Leading a Revolution, Building Tomorrow's Best Leaders. Today, if you are a career ambitious leader, and I know that many of you listen to this podcast, and you really want to make an impact and prepare yourself for the next step, check out the Emerging Leaders 12-month program at tomorrowsbestleaders.com. It will bring about your next step in your leadership journey. Now, in today's episode, I speak with Peter Mohr with a conversation that was both educational and enjoyable. Pete is a lifelong multipreneur. He's owned and operated businesses in professional services as well as in retail, and he's been doing that since 1994. He's owned franchises, started businesses and acquired businesses, all in the journey that he's had. Now, his passion is in helping business owners and leaders cut through the frustration and chaos of running and owning your own business. And he does that by providing systems and frameworks that allows them to simplify their life as a leader and to simplify their business processes and structure. So I'm really excited about sharing how he does that. And one of the tips that he provides is with his application and implementation of one-page plans. Now, just a word of caution, we did have some internet gremlins, so the sound is a little bit patchy at times. So hopefully it doesn't take away from the conversation, because the conversation is just fantastic. So hopefully it is still a good quality presentation for you. We minimized it as much as what we possibly can, but it is noticeable at times. So please be aware of that. So after a word from our sponsor, it's my pleasure to welcome Peter Mohr to the podcast.
The podcast is brought to you by Think and Grow Business, the home of the Think and Grow Business Mastermind. If you're serious about growing your business, get serious and join a mastermind group today. Find out more at thinkandgrowbusiness.com.au.
And it's my pleasure to welcome to the Today's Leader podcast, Building Tomorrow's Best Leaders today. Please welcome Peter Mohr. How are you today,
I am
Peter?
doing awesome. Thanks so much for having me. It's just a pleasure to be here.
And we were just talking a little bit offline that we do have some connections. I'm from Brisbane, and you had family on the Gold Coast when this whole COVID thing, but you're now safe and sound in Ontario, Canada. So, or as safe as sound as what we're allowed to be.
I think
guess.
at this time of year, they would sooner be there.
Oh, it's beautiful this time of year. And I was talking with a lady from Boston yesterday, actually, Peter. This is a great way to start the interview. But and she's in the middle of winter. And the winters here in Brisbane, I was saying to her, you know, the cold, when it's cold, it will get down to about 7-8 degrees Celsius. And it's that bitterness of the Boston winter that we really do miss out of here in southeast Queensland.
With wind chilled overnight here, it was a cold night, and it got down to minus 22.
Oh, wow.
So it was cold. I mean, yesterday it was warmer, but it was a cold day today.
Yeah. Just shows how strong that you've got to be to live in some of those environments. Hey, Peter, share your story with the listeners.
Yeah, well, thanks so much. And you know, I've been a lifelong entrepreneur. It's really all I've ever done. And you know, I've owned bathroom renovation companies and cleaning franchises, and you know, the cleaning business we bought when it was 30 clients and built it to 300 and sold it. And I was a business broker helping people buy and sell businesses. And we currently are a retailer. And I know you have a bit of a retail background as well. And we own some shoe stores here in just about an hour outside of Toronto in Ontario. And I spend most of my time coaching other entrepreneurs. And you know, it's like what are your issues, and let's pull you through. I've had a lot of variety of experiences. I still run operating businesses, and most of my clients really, when we look at it, they want to get their time back, and they want, they're frustrated. And it's like, I just want my freedom. And that's a lot of what we do, is talk about, helping them get their freedom back. Because the big thing for me is that, I look at business as it should be providing you freedom. And the term that I use is, you own your business. It shouldn't own you. So that's the kind of stuff that I work to and love and talk and discuss. And, I just get pumped up when we talk about business. It's just a real pleasure and something I love to do.
Can anyone be an entrepreneur, Peter?
Anyone can be an entrepreneur. But most people aren't entrepreneurs and shouldn't be entrepreneurs. The barriers to entry are very low. So anyone can be. But, I can't remember the statistics. I think it's somewhere around 8% of people are entrepreneurs. And I think that's realistic. And when you look at it, it's not for everybody. And understanding that it's not for you is just as important as understanding that it is for you. Because, like anything, these things, it's like, if it's not your path, and I think the big thing there is really understanding what you want out of life. Because if you understand what you want out of life, that full clarity either gives you what you need to do in your business or what you need to do in your career in order to drive that back to you, to maintain your risk levels and your comfort and all these other things that go around sort of being an entrepreneur.
Are you seeing an increase at the moment in Canada of people wanting to be an entrepreneur or starting their business or embarking on that entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, I think it's sort of worldwide these days. There's a combination of reasons, at least how I see it. One is that based on what's happened here in the last couple of years in the stock markets and everything, anybody that had money has made a lot of money. And, from that perspective, they don't need to work their white collar jobs anymore as much. They can leave if they choose. They're working because they want to. So they're kind of going back and saying, do I really want to do this anymore? I don't really need to do it. So do I want to do it? And that's the thing, if they really want, if they are passionate and if they do want to do it, then they're going to start digging in a little bit deeper around this. But, it really is an issue, the variety of different reasons why we are experiencing this great resignation, as they're calling it. But that's one of the ones that, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, people are kind of saying, I've got a little bit of money. If I'm going to try it, do I want to try it now? Is, all these different things from the startup perspective. And then other people are just ultimately frustrated with what they've been doing and where they see their future. So if the business that they're working in right now doesn't properly communicate from the leadership, and that's one of the big things we work on, is sort of this communication of what is the promise and what are we all working for and how are we delivering our promise to our customers, and do you align as a team member, and do our clients align, and having this full alignment and culture around what it is that we're trying to do either attracts or repels people. So it either makes people stronger, either your customers or your team members, or it repels them out. And both are good. Out is not a bad thing.
How would you describe the makeup of an entrepreneur?
The makeup of an entrepreneur, well, everyone is unique, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing, right? Because every entrepreneur I've ever talked to is unique in his or her own way. And some are extroverts and some are introverts, and some are, proven leaders and just love to lead. Some love to manage, and they'll hire a leader. So there's all sorts of different ways of structuring how, if you want to be an owner, if you want to be the entrepreneur, you don't have to be, let's call it front stage, if you don't want to be, right? You can be backstage and have somebody else do the front stage work for you. And that's something that a lot of people that haven't been entrepreneurs are like, that whole sort of being the public figure isn't for me. But that doesn't mean you can't be an entrepreneur, right? So there's lots of different ways, and it depends on what you want out of it. Some businesses are more risk averse than others, and people are more risk averse than others. So you're aligning to your risk tolerance. I mean, there's just so many different ways of looking at entrepreneurship, why you'd want to become an entrepreneur, and, you know, all the things around the benefits and the drawbacks of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Peter, your specialty is working with people and entrepreneurs and getting their focus right on their business endeavors. Mm-hmm. How do you prepare someone to be an entrepreneur, or what's your methodology, I guess, of working with people in that space?
Yeah, you know, and to be quite honest, I don't work with a lot of startups. I work more with existing businesses and entrepreneurs that have probably been at it. I do some startup work, but most of the work that I do is really with people that are already doing well and want to do even better. And from that perspective, you know, I absolutely have some frameworks around that. Yeah. And usually it's kind of like once you get to a ceiling of complexity, whatever that ceiling of complexity is within your business, there's a frustration that happens, right? It's like, we can't grow. We can't do this. I can't do this. I'm feeling as though we're stalled. Right. Yeah. And it's time for change. And so those are the areas that really kind of I dig into and help people through those levels of complexity. And it usually revolves around what I call the 5P's. And the 5P's for me, I'll give them to you quickly and we can delve into them depending on where you think the audience is going to be most interested. But really, it starts with understanding your promise, the promise that you deliver to your clients. And that gives you the guiding principles for all the things that are in behind, which is aligning, P number 2, the product or service, right? Yeah. And then the process of delivering the promise. And then the people and all your sphere of influence around the people of the business. And then once you have those aligned, you can drive home the right amount of profit. And that's when you're truly starting to be able to make this entrepreneurial decisions that can change your future, and you're aligning what you want out of the business. Because like we said earlier, you know, you own your business. It shouldn't own you. And if you're feeling that it owns you, until you get a certain amount of profit, you can't actually make some decisions. You're just doing, right? You're managing. So we're leveling up into the leadership framework and now being able to have some freedoms around what that looks like.
So let me just say promise, product, process, people, and profit. Is it like a continuum, or is it a loop?
I find it's a loop based on these ceilings of complexity. Because sometimes when you're at one stage and you're going to the next stage, you really have a lot of work to do on product or people or process, right? So it's like stepping up. If you think of your steps up to the upstairs of your house or whatever the case is, you have these steps, and usually through each of these steps, there's a certain amount of tweaking in each of those areas that needs to be done. Sometimes it's a lot of tweaking. Sometimes it's just some minor stuff, but understanding from a strategic point of view that there is some work to be done there is the job of the owner, is the job of the entrepreneur, is the job of the person that's sort of leading the business. And a lot of times we're mired down in the frustration of managing that, and we don't sort of take a step back and strategize about these areas. And that's a really important piece. You need to give some thought around those and work through some you know, what I call one-page sheets and different strategic tools and stuff that will get you there.
It sounds like it could almost be, and I'm imagining it, that it would be like almost an annual event for businesses to be reviewing that process. Is that one of the encouragements that you do with businesses?
I do. I absolutely do. So a deeper dive annually and a regular look, dashboard look quarterly.
Excellent. Yeah. Now, you also talk a lot about momentum. And a lot of businesses struggle to get momentum. So tell me about, I think you've got a concept, it's called the Wheel of Momentum. So walk me through that.
I do. And, you know, from the Wheel of Momentum, it's another one of these sort of models, let's call it. And really it's looks like a circle, it's a wheel, but it has 6 C's. And when you know, and 6 C words, but it starts, everything always starts with the word clarity. And that's where all business decisions have to start, right? So we need to have clarity. Did you have a comment there?
No. I was going to just write it down, to be honest, as you go.
I saw your hands and I thought maybe you had a comment. But I'll give you the 6 C's, kind of like I did with the P's. So C's and P's today. But from this one, it starts with clarity. Then we move to confidence, then competence, then cooperation, capacity, and creativity. And the idea with the wheel is once you've worked through all of these different areas, you get to creativity as the entrepreneur and you're starting to think about what else you can do and leveling up again, then it starts again. You need to clarify. So we'll start at that clarify. What does it mean to clarify? Well, you really need to be clear about what this is you're going to do. Who is it going to work towards? And I love this framework around what I call PSR. So the problem, the solution, and the result. So what is the problem you're trying to solve with this idea? What's the solution that's uniquely yours that you're going to provide to the clients? And most importantly, because people buy their future, that's what they buy when they part with their money. What does their life look like afterwards?
Okay.
So when we look at it, what's the problem they're having now? What's your solution that's unique, that you can provide in a different way than everybody else, so that they live a better life? And so that's what you need the clarity on, and all of these different things that you're making decisions on. And it gives you your marketing pieces. It gives you your mission and your vision. Like when you think in those frameworks, it gives you everything. And that relates back to that first P that we talked about too, the promise, right? And having clear sort of ideas around what that promise is. Because when you have that, you get confidence. And confidence is number 2, right? It's really hard to have any confidence if there's not clarity in why. And we talked about that earlier too, about sort of the great resignation and all of this other stuff around people leaving. If they don't know their why, and if they don't know why they're doing what they're doing, the customers won't buy, your team won't sell, like everybody's sort of misaligned. So it's the job of the entrepreneur to communicate that consistently so that there's confidence throughout, both with the clients, the wholesalers, all of your outsourced partners, your team, everybody.
I'm seeing a lot of systems.
For sure.
Peter. Is that one of your specialties, being able to help businesses systemize? Love
to put things in frameworks that people understand. They need to know why they're doing what they're doing, and they need to know how, just like I said, the PSA, or, the problem, solution, result, PSR, but that life afterwards. So if you work through these kind of things in that sort of strategic frameworks, it's like, then I can make some decisions. Because as entrepreneurs, we were kind of saying what makes an entrepreneur, an entrepreneur is a decision maker.
Yeah.
That's what we are. We get paid to make decisions. So when we look at the systems and the frameworks around that stuff, we want all of the decisions to be made at the lowest level of the organization. That's that whole process piece, right? Yep. You push all of the decisions down to the very lowest level that they can be made, because your systems and your processes are all humming in a really nice, neat way that you don't have to be involved. Then your decision-making power is really on the highest level decisions that we don't have a process for, we don't have a system for yet. So that's when they come to you and it's like, okay, well, here's something new. What are we going to do? And then we're taking it back to the promise and the clarity around what our mission is and our vision is and all that other stuff. And the decisions then become easy instead of hard and procrastinate about them and not know and all of that other stuff, right?
It sounds ideal for many businesses to spend some time looking at these models and implementing them into your business. One thing that stood out when we started talking was the fact that you've got a number of business fingers in the pie, balls in the air, you're juggling. How does someone run multiple businesses effectively? Because some people in many ways are probably thinking, I'm struggling to run my business effectively, let alone having 3 or 4 of them on the go at once. So how do you do that, Peter?
Well, you align with these things that we're talking about today. You set up this stuff, you give strategic thought to these things, and you align your product, your process, and your people, because you can't do it in most cases, most businesses, without good people, right?
Yeah.
And it's such a big thing these days, and they need to feel as though they are making some decisions, and they need to feel as though they're being part of your promise, and all of that. That's how you create the loyalty amongst your clients and amongst your team and amongst your wholesalers and suppliers and outsource, all of those people. And that's your job as a leader, to keep that going so that they know why they're doing it and they understand what they need to do in order to propel it through. So, I don't make lower level decisions. I have people that do that, and that they're accountable for that. And if I need an answer on that, I go to them. They don't come to me. Like, that's their accountability, and that's what they want, that account. Your team wants accountability.
Yeah, very much so.
Right? So unleash it to them. And in fact, they're probably going to do a better job than you, because they're dedicated to that certain point of actually doing and saying, you know what, this is my accountability. I need to perform here. And they want it. So give it to them and let them own it. And when you start releasing that, it's a very freeing thing. We're talking about, turning your frustrations into freedoms. If you're feeling frustrated and making every little decision, give those away with the proper process in place, with the dashboard that's going to let you sort of green light, yellow light, red light stuff when you do need to step in. There's systems around that. But really, the reason I'm able to do that, and, I'll give you a prime example. I work about 8 to 10 hours a week with my shoe stores. And that's all I work, because I've got everything else sort of set up in a nice little system. I told my team this week that, I just told you it's minus 24 out. I told my team this week that I'm going to go to Florida for a month in March. And they're like, oh, you're going for a month? Okay, see you later. Right? Yeah. And will I pop in on Zoom and I'll answer questions and I'll be responding to, some stuff? Yeah, I will. I'm not taking a vacation for the entire month. I'm going to probably take 2 weeks of that as vacation. And the other 2 weeks of that will be sort of just living in the warmth and doing some other stuff that I need to do. Let's be real.
But, so to speak,
but nonetheless, I've set my business up because that was a guiding principle of my life.
Yeah.
And some stuff that I wanted to do with my life. I want to coach entrepreneurs. I want to have these conversations. This is my unique ability. This is the stuff that I really love to do. So I've set my other businesses up so that it frees me up so I can live in what I call my love it zone, as opposed to my leave it zone. Because leave it stuff, I'm delegating. And have I had to do that? Yeah, I have to do it. And I'm still the owner. I'm still the owner. If I have to do it again, I will. But, it's not part of my everyday.
I like that concept, the love it zone and the leave it zone. And I think that's critical. It's interesting when we talk about empowering our team and really trying to get the decision being made at the lowest possible level or at the best possible level for the ultimate customer. So
for sure,
having your team on the floor to be able to make decisions for the customer is just so empowering. It's powerful for a business. So,
and for the customer, because they want their answer, right?
And they don't want to have to see, I want to see the manager. They want a decision to be able to be made. What stops leaders from that process? Because it makes sense. I've seen it in practice in the organisations that I've worked. You're obviously a living, breathing example of that. So what stops leaders from that empowerment of that pushing down the decision-making or...
A variety of things. I think, really, it's just there's a plethora of reasons. One of them is because they don't know any different. They've always done it this way. And they just don't know how to, like I said, there's a ceiling of complexity. They don't know how to push through it. They've never done it before, right? And they've always made the decisions, but their business is growing around them. And now, they just don't know how to release. So sometimes it's as simple as that. Sometimes it's as simple as saying, it's okay to release. It's okay. And then showing them, the problem is you're feeling frustrated. The solution is we need to systematize this stuff, give you a dashboard that you're comfortable with so that you can get your time back. And when you get your time back once or twice from those and you see that everything's being done right and everything's sort of green lighted, the right decisions are made, because you have to monitor it, right? You got to monitor. And so decisions being made, oh, good. And sooner or later, if we own some shoe stores, if somebody comes in with a return of something, whatever the case is, I am not the person to talk to about a return. in fact, I'm the last person to talk to because my team knows way better how to deal with that, how to get them what they need, how to put the return in process, how to work it on the computer. I don't even know half of that stuff anymore. I used to. And if I needed to, we have the processes that I could go back, look in the book or watch the video or whatever in order to get my client through. But I am not the ideal person for that. And in fact, that's why I have people in place, and that's why they have accountabilities, and I've given them those accountabilities and they own them. And that's part of our cultural structure of the business in order to have everybody sort of in their unique zone of genius. Because when you love it or leave it, and that's a thing that I do with all my clients. I have an exercise called Love It or Leave It. But you know what your genius zone is, or your love it zone is not necessarily somebody else's love it zone. In fact, they may love exactly what you hate. And that's a good thing, right? Let them have it and let them own it and all of that stuff. And so we start to look at some of this structure around an accountability chart and work through some of that stuff so that you can really start systematizing and aligning accountabilities with your awesome team members. And quite honestly, when that stuff happens, sometimes those team members leave. They get repelled, right? And some of them really rise and just like take it on. So both are good. Because, you know, that's just when you start sort of talking that language and all of that other stuff. If it's not a right fit person that's working for you, they're going to leave, and they're going to go find something that is a right fit for them, and that gives you the opportunity to bring in somebody who is a right fit, because this is how we do it now. And that's those are the things when we're talking about the steps. Sometimes people are right at the right time, but then aren't right at the next level, and that's just kind of business as you grow and as you expand and as you have new offerings and different things. It's just part of it, and it doesn't mean that you don't love that person and they weren't good for you at that time and all that other stuff. I think there's lots of ways to look at that, and I have no hardships over any of that sort of stuff over my career, but the fit just wasn't right at that time, and those are decisions that have to be made.
Absolutely. Peter, what I like about your systems is that there's a really strong focus on people, and
for sure
the development of people and making them the right fit, making them stronger, making them better. And a lot of leaders that I know who we tend to pigeonhole people, which can be quite challenging, but some people who see themselves as a people leader sort of shy away from systems because that's more the inverted commas management of a business, whereas systems need good people.
Absolutely.
If you're going to put a system in, you need good people to be able to run that system.
Oh my gosh. And systems make decisions easier, and if decisions are easy, there's less frustration. Right?
Yeah.
Like without the system, if they want to know what to do, they want to have the answer. Everybody wants things to run smoothly. Like there's nobody that wants something to be messed up and crazy and all that stuff. I mean, they want things to run in a systemized way. So make them happen in that way. Set up those processes. And, I'll tell you a little acronym for the word system that I love, and I learned from one of my coaches, Joel Weldon. A system saves you stress, time, energy, and money. So what should a system do? It should save you stress, time, energy, and money. So whether you use the word process like me or system, that's the idea. So why would we not want that in our business? In systems in operations, systems in marketing, systems in sales, systems in human resources, systems in hiring and firing, and, all of those different things around that. We try to systematize as much as we can so that it takes, any sort of questionability around the decision, so long as those systems are aligned, and why we started with the word promise, aligned with the promise, so that you're delivering the promise to the customer in the right way, because the customer is part of your people sphere, right?
Yep.
It has to all of this stuff has to be in alignment. And when you have alignment, then you're really starting to, as the entrepreneur, enjoy some of the freedoms, because everything just seems to be sort of ticking along at the pace you choose it to.
Peter, who's inspired you in your leadership journey?
I've had a lot of awesome people along the way, a lot of mentors, a lot of coaches. I mentioned one, Joel Weldon, who is a speaking coach for me. I've had Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach, been on their programs. I've had many sort of personal entrepreneur mentors. My family's full of entrepreneurs. Aunts and uncles are farmers and successful retailers. And my dad ran a large construction company. My mom was entrepreneurial as well. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, we are surrounded by entrepreneurship, and it's been a part of my life from a very young age. And I mean, I could tell you hundreds of people that have affected different decisions along the way and helped me along the way. And I encourage anybody here who's looking at it being in business, or maybe somebody that is already in business and has sort of is looking for a mentor or somebody to help them through these different areas, reach out, because there's a lot of people out there that have done, really well and want to give back. They want to give back. They want to help you along. They want to see you succeed. Reach out to somebody in your network that has been there and done that, and you'll be surprised with a quick call and or an email and saying, "Hey, could you help me through this?" Or, "What are your thoughts on this?" And I know you've been through this. You'll be surprised at how many people will actually come back and say, "I'd love to spend half an hour with you and give you some thoughts and that sort of thing around that."
Excellent. Tell me about your relationship with failure.
My relationship with?
Failure.
Oh, failure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm an entrepreneur. I have a big relationship with failure. So getting back to, do you want to be an entrepreneur or not? you have to be okay with failure, and you're going to fail. And I failed big. I failed large in the past. And, we've been through some, as I call them, learnings. And, we've been to the point where, we had a cottage. We had to sell our cottage in order to pay some debts down and get through some failures that we had and different things like that. I mean, we've been hit financially, and it takes a long time to crawl out of some of those. But I can tell you that, looking back, it doesn't seem like that long.
Okay.
At the time, you're kind of going, "Oh my God, are we ever going to get?" And you look back and you're like, "No, that wasn't so bad," And so if you have this sort of area of resilience, and you feel as though, if you have that, again, we kind of go back to, what do you want out of life? I've got this long-term vision, this 25-year vision that's very clear. And, I work with my clients on sort of developing that sort of thing too, so that you always have your personal guiding principles, because as entrepreneurs, our business and our lives are sort of yin and yang. It's black and white sort of tied together, and it's hard to separate. And in fact, I don't think you should separate them. I think they're just part of being an entrepreneur. You need to have time with each of them, but your life decisions and your business decisions are also intermingled in so many different ways as a business owner, because you want your business to give you the life that you want, right? And we've talked about that already. It has to be sort of linked. And so from that perspective, you have to be okay with failure. You have to be okay with that risk, and you have to be okay with taking it, as I said, taking them as learning sort of times in your career. And those are the things I share too. It's like, been there, done that. I think, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying, here's my learnings from this. And, this, I'll give you my thoughts, because we're coaches. We're not, we're not telling people what to do, but we're giving them sort of guidance around different ideas and different thoughts and different strategies. And, the coaches don't run the race. They're there beside the person, taking the swing or hurling or whatever the case is, the ski jump, or, the coaches aren't doing that. They're there beside the person, helping them make their dreams come true. So from that perspective, all I can do is give my guidance along the way, but I've had so many different experiences and different businesses along the way too. I've seen a lot of stuff, and it's just, every conversation is a new one, and I love it. It's just, entrepreneurship is just a big part of my life.
And you get that sense as we're talking, Peter, the passion is just oozing out of you. So what's the vision for you moving forward?
Well, I've developed a one-page planner. I call it the one-page planner, and happy to share it with anybody here too. It's at simplifyingentrpreneurship.com/planner. But basically it's a setup of your life, and takes it down to the day. I mean, we've all seen planners and different things like that, and it's a different planning tool, but I call them the buckets of life. So when we start with this 25-year vision, right? And the buckets of life. What do I want out of my health? My belief is health is number one, because, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. You can't run a successful business if you're not mentally healthy and physically healthy.
Yeah.
Right? So you need to be aware. And I'm not for those of you who aren't watching the video, I'm not the picture of health. I'm not on the front of Men's Magazine. But I am conscious of that stuff. I do watch that stuff, and I'm conscious of my sleep. I'm conscious of what I eat. I'm conscious of different things because I want to live a long life. That's one of my key things, right? I want to live a long, healthy life.
Okay.
So that I can do all the things that I want. And what are the other things? Well, you craft what you want out of your wealth and what you need. Your mission. What is your goals? I have specific personal goals and specific business goals that I want. And those guiding principles are always gearing me, setting me up for that stuff. What do I want out of my growth? What are the things I want to learn? I mean, I'm 51 years old. I've got a lot of stuff I want to learn. I never stop learning. So what are those things that I want that to be a guiding principle? The other thing I want to be a guiding principle for me personally is my leisure. So what do I want to do in my leisure time? I don't want to be, so many entrepreneurs work 50, 60, 70 hours a week and don't actually do anything other than work. Their leisure is work. I don't think that's healthy for me. Maybe it is for somebody else, but it's not for me. So it's like, what am I doing and planning for my leisure time? Not only for my week vacation here or whatever the case is, how much vacation do I actually want in a year is another thing, right? And how do I want that to look? So all of these different things, I'm very specific about those things, and I'm always making decisions based on the clarity of those documents so that the decision making is easy.
So once again, it seems like there's that system that sits there for you to benefit from and get the best out of life. So a great tool. So I'll make sure I put that link in the show notes for people for that one-page planner. So outside of that, Peter, what's the best way people can connect with you?
Yeah, sure. Simplifying entrepreneurship. I mean, that's just Google that. You'll find me. You'll find my podcast, same name. And I'm most active on LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn at Pete Mohr, Mohr. So that's you can email me too at pete@mohr.coach, Mohr of course .coach. And those are really the best ways. And the other thing I'll throw out too is that, we have this awesome business assessment on our website at Simplifying Entrepreneurship. And just, it's part, I'm a Business Made Simple certified coach, and it's part of that platform. But when you click take the assessment, it takes about 10, 12 minutes to do the assessment, and it's mostly multiple choice. But at the end of it, and it's free. At the end of it, you get back 50 to 60 pages of all of the things that are really aligning for you, the things that you're doing so well. And it also gives you the things that you need to work on this year. So it gives you this guidance, and it's all wrapped around an airplane. The cockpit is the leadership, and the wings are the sales and the marketing. And so it's all in a nice little framework, but it kind of gives you those guiding principles around what you're doing well and pats you on the back. And it also says, you might want to look at this one and this one. And, so whether you're like me and you're reading all the time, or you're doing, listening to podcasts like this one, however you're getting your information, the big thing is get the information, but then you need to activate. You can ideate and postulate all you want, but until you activate, nothing ever happens.
Absolutely. And that's a great message. I suppose it's a bit of a summary about everything that we've been talking about. Peter, thank you so much for appearing on the Today's Leader and investing in today's leaders and entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for your time.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Make it a great day.
And now, it's time for Tony's 2 cents.
Now, that was an incredibly enjoyable and educational discussion that I had with Peter. And there was so much that I took away from it, because I do work with a lot of businesses in developing the business skills of leaders. So there was a lot of good stuff. Now, a lot of what Pete spoke about was about putting that structure into business endeavors. And he spoke about the 5P's, of course: promise, product, process, people, and profit. And that just makes so much sense. And when you start to break down your business into under those 5P's, you can actually see how it all aligns, and how if we look after those 5P's, the business will definitely deliver greater results. But also the wheel of momentum was fascinating with the 7 C's. So we had the 5P's and the 7 C's. So clarity, confidence, competence, cooperation, capacity, and creativity. Now, giving your business or entrepreneurial idea or your innovative new business process provides the best opportunity for success, in my opinion. And as you can see, Pete believes that as well. Now, many will have a concept or a thought or a belief that having systems and structure limits you. But I believe it's the reverse. The reverse is mostly true in my eyes, especially for the entrepreneurial mindset. The structure provides a process for you as the business owner to deal with problems, identify innovation, and then implement the solution. It provides that structure on how that's going to happen. Because too often we see entrepreneurs that are distracted by the flying silver little bits, the linings that they're seeing, the gold little things that they think are there. And we see too much distraction. But having a process in and around how you develop business solutions to the problems that you're facing is a much better way. Instead of just drifting along and being distracted, which is what we see in a lot of businesses, that drift and distract process. You've actually got a structure to fall back on, get confident in, and absolutely drive your business to the next level. It really does support your business and shifts you away from the drift. And that's really, really important for you as a business owner or an entrepreneur. Thanks again, Pete, for investing in Today's Leaders and coming on the podcast. I really did appreciate your time with us today. And of course, his links are in the show notes. If you're looking to build better leadership skills, check out the Today's Leader website at todaysleader.com.au. We really are driving a leadership revolution to build tomorrow's best leaders today. Today's Leader is a collective, the mindset to make a difference, the ability to create an impact. Think and Grow Business hosts our Today's Leader Masterminds. Think and Grow Business, where we focus on personal, professional, and business growth. Book your free 30-minute discovery call right from the homepage at thinkandgrowbusiness.com.au. Don't forget, wherever you are standing stronger, braver, and wiser. Don't forget the golden rule. Don't be an arsehole. I'll see you all again next week. Bye for now.